Welcome to the Cozy Convos podcast. I am your host, Elijah. Today, you guys, I am super excited because we are finally back with another episode, and it's the 10th one. Yeah, we are officially in the double digits. I cannot believe how fast we have flown through these. So, of course, with it being the 10th episode, we have to dive into something very special, a message that I have been pondering on for years and years and years. Well, all of my life, pretty much. Today, what we will be discussing is men have the right to explore their feminine energy.
Let's have a conversation and make it cozy. Let's dive into the unknown so we can continue growing. It won't always feel so comfortable letting go of limited beliefs, but we know we have big dreams and goals, so we're committed even when truth gets heavy. Let's have a conversation and make it cozy. Let's address the hard things and still make it feel so cozy. Let's embrace our flaws so we can feel even more cozy. This safe space won't make you feel anything other than cozy.
With this being my podcast, I use this platform to bring awareness to things that I have been through and awareness to things that I feel like a lot of people don't really think about, especially being somebody who is a queer feminine man, highly misunderstood. So of course I speak to my specific minority. However, I want to put a disclaimer out that this video does apply to all men, straight men as well, because there's a lot of toxic rhetoric there. So honey, just place it where it fits. And I hope you guys are able to open up and receive some of the things that I say in today's video. I really just wanted to tackle a lot of perspectives and experiences that I have gone through, that I have witnessed, as I've continuously chosen not to conform based on lies that target men like me. I feel that feminine men, especially feminine men of color, end up misunderstanding ourselves due to the hate, the abuse, and the violence that we endure on an everyday basis. We begin to question our natural desires and our natural ways of expression, and it oftentimes leads us down these paths of chaos. So I'm gonna kind of go back, a few years back to childhood when I was growing up in church, witnessing, especially in the Black community, that a lot of people are there to put on a performance or uphold a certain image. I could not believe that as a young boy, I was told that it's okay if you want to praise God, if you want to sing or shout, but just make sure you tone it down enough when you're doing it. Men should have a little bit more control, a little bit more masculinity when they shout. They shouldn't be all wild and all, well, I would like to call it free, but they shouldn't be loose, they shouldn't be, extra, I guess, I don't know. So for me, that has been the biggest red flag. Conformity has gotten so bad that even if we want to praise the divine, even if we want to praise the universe, even if we want to praise divine mother, divine father, whatever spirit, whatever deity you believe in and connect to, if I want to give it up to them, if I want to shout, if I want to hoot and holler, if I want to cry, if I want to express myself under divine right, man is telling me, a vessel, is telling me I can do that, but it just has to be in a certain way. It has to be in the confines of these rules and these Why? Honey, especially as I become more spiritual and I have my own connection, honey, I wish somebody would, as I am 22 years old today, try to limit my expression and limit how I communicate to the divine source that created me and the world around me. And there's this foundation as well that all men and all women are here to live the same lives or similar ones. This distorts our perception early on because the true complexities of life become hidden. Well, they attempt to be, and let me break it down. There are certain things that we are told early on are off limits, especially if we grow up in certain environments. So because we're put in this bubble, because we're put in this box early on, we have all of these curiosities and we don't know who we are as a person outside of the identity that we are growing up around. So oftentimes we go behind those people's backs, or we grow up and we move out and we start acting wild and free because we never got the chance to experience who we actually are. Honey, it's a tale as old as time. And what's crazy is we get looked at as the ones who are insane or unstable simply because we are reacting to an environment that we have always been around that we couldn't help being around. So our idea of community, it becomes very confined. And if you step outside of those confines 9 times, you are no longer welcome. Many of us, we have this one idea of what the world should look like because that's all we were born into. But growing up, something just didn't sit right in my spirit, honey. I always questioned if it was right though. Because the same people that supposedly love the Lord and are living these socially acceptable lives are the same ones that abused me in the most volatile ways since I was a child, a helpless child. Things don't add up. I often try to think and fill in the gray areas to gain a better understanding. And like I said, I've been thinking about these things for years. I've long since abandoned any sort of traditionalist mindsets. And I'm grateful that I have abandoned it because now I'm having so many full circle moments. I didn't allow the lies to keep me from experiencing my own divine connection, my own relationship with God. It's beautiful to witness how loved and protected I am in all of my queerness and femininity, despite somehow always feeling like I was disqualified from it as a child. I I am so grateful and I'm so proud of myself. I don't know how I had so much courage and bravery so young, but somehow I've been able to sustain the courage since I was 12 years old, to step outside of society's designated lines. The lines that tells us boys are meant to experience life in this way, and vice versa for the girls. The energies are never supposed to intermingle. They're supposed to stay here, stay there. They're not supposed to be fluid. And I don't think it's fair. I think we need to make room for the softness in men, even the ones who aren't queer. A lot of these men out here, straight and queer, feel like they need to live up to society's standards and expectations when it comes to what a man should be. And even for the men who aren't queer, I feel like they experience a lot of toxic masculinity very early on, that they fear exploring their true interests because they're afraid they may be labeled as gay, or they fear having open friendships and experiences with being associated with us automatically means you're DL, or automatically means you are curious. We live in a world full of people who live for everything outside of themselves. Many people are willing to do whatever it takes to feel loved, accepted, and validated. So external validation of my life and how I express myself becomes my primary source for filling that void. And as I look back on my life, I'm so glad I came out early, honey. And for most of my life, until I was 17, I was the only child. So it really honestly taught me early on how to be content and at peace with my own company, even when I didn't realize I was being taught a lesson, honey. And the way my life has played out, I realized that that has always been my greatest gift. And I guess that's how I'm able to be so comfortable in my solitude. Well, I feel like, of course, anybody could do it. But I just think that it was much easier for me, being that that's what I, grew up as. I was oftentimes left with my own thoughts, oftentimes left in my solitude. And with that, coming out young and refusing to conform, it set me up to experience things differently. I either became the scapegoat or the mirror for someone's anger, someone's confusion, or someone's denial. But somehow all that pain shaped me into something that I now recognize as powerful. It became a part of my story. It became a part of the thing that strengthened me. As I grew brave enough to step outside of the lines, I realized that there is a whole army, thousands, well no, millions and millions of people in this world waiting to destroy that part of you simply because it threatens a false foundation built on lies. And most of these people that I have come up against in my lifetime are simply doing it subconsciously because that's their upbringing, that's all they know, that's all they're taught, that's their conditioning, that's their wiring. So that way of thinking, that toxicity, that's what I would like to call it, it has spread like wildfire, all because somebody else decided, however long ago, that they benefit from the hate we experience. It starts at home with a little willingness to explore the true complexities of life, or to just be open-minded about things that are outside of our sector of interest, or of things that we have been made aware of or know of. And many people don't think that far. Many people don't dig deep because change is harder than their comfort zone. And honey, of course, I'm not trying to be, all up on anybody. Honey, I speak to people the way that I want somebody to speak to me. Honey, these are things that I've learned for myself. I've had to get out of my comfort zone. I've had to adjust to change. This is me spreading awareness and wanting you all to take what resonates. Now, I do not believe the world has always been as divisive as it is now. I know there has to be some sort of golden age in history that we do not know about. Some historical period that has been wiped off the face of the map that was never taught in school, in church, or anywhere else, of course. There had to be a time where queer men, trans women, all held their rightful places in society. I feel like there had to be a time somewhere in history that we were respected and recognized for our gifts. There is a lot of hidden truths that we don't know about since we've been colonized. There's a lot of our heritage and traditions that are unknown to us, because if we did remember, the system that governs us would no longer have the power we unknowingly have given to them. Going on my spiritual journey, I realized that the world is more multidimensional than I initially thought. Yes, we may have these meat suits, but I do believe we are here as different kinds of beings. It's not just the male human and the female human, and we're just supposed to be this reproductive birth machine. The world is so scary, making us feel like we're supposed to be these robotic machines. We're supposed to walk in a straight line, one foot in front of the other, never questioning things. Now, this may be a little bit far-fetched for some, but honey, we're here to bring heaven to earth. I genuinely feel, this is my belief, we are different species and different beings that come from different places in the universe. And I feel like us queer men, I feel like trans women, we are simply just a different kind of being. And I do feel that we are heavily targeted because fear exists about what we can do once we step into our purpose and our power. And I know people are like, Elijah, what is there to be afraid of with queer people and trans women and LGBTQ+? But honey, prime example, look at how widespread ballroom culture's impact has become. Look at the impact that our LGBTQ+ ancestors have had on today's society. I am so amazed by the world that we live in. I am amazed to encounter people who love our lingo, who use it in their everyday language, but can't stand to be in the spaces or stand to be around someone where the origin of those phrases originated originated from. And I also realized that a lot of people, they're okay and they're comfortable with change as long as it's not too drastic. But honey, the only way we get to rainbows is through uncomfortable storms. But many people would rather things stay the way that they are now. And knowing that they'll have to go through a storm, it creates fear and it creates resistance that we oftentimes end up feeling. Honey, it's okay for us to be the sidekick. It's okay for us to be the gay bestie. It's okay for us to be the makeup artist, the stylist, the choreographer, the typical side character roles that we're supposed to be happy with and accept with a smile on our faces. Because, well, at least we're in the room. At least we're getting compensated and recognized for our gifts. This is what you just have to do. You gotta suck it up. But what is that kind of attitude costing us? I'm not saying any of these roles are bad. I'm not saying being a choreographer, being a stylist. I don't want to offend anybody, obviously. I'm just saying it's sad that our touch, our eye, our magic is oftentimes sought out as long as we remain an accessory. But as soon as we want to step into the spotlight or occupy certain spaces that we're low-key taught, growing up, we're forbidden or are forbidden for men and women like us, it's too much. Specifically for the people who benefit from things remaining the way that they are. Us on the side and not in the spotlight. So with all of the vitriol that we receive, I think that it's crucial and very important to remember, and I'm talking to my trans girls, I'm talking to my queer men, I'm talking to everybody. But girl, you know my people, girl. We have to remember that we are not our vessel. If we feel drawn to things at a young age, it's because our spirit recognizes something that our mouth and our mind does not yet know how to articulate. Honey, I was 4 when I realized I love glitter, I love pink, I love heels, I love all things soft, all things feminine. I loved it. Until I realized it was off limits. All boys are not blue. All boys are not here for the reason we've been told they are. All of us, I don't feel, are supposed to serve and protect the woman and reproduce with her. Some of us have a naturally soft energy that we're supposed to embody. We have gifts and things that straight people don't have and vice versa. But what we each have is needed for the healing of our broken relationships with each other as a species in general, as humans. I oftentimes see or hear the argument that if men were supposed to be feminine or with another man, why would God give them, the part that they have to make a baby? And children and babies are one of the biggest forms of love. Oh, they bring so much joy to this planet. They're brought into this world to spread love. But that's not the only sort of creation that brings love. There's physical creations that bring love to this planet, and there's spiritual creations that bring love to this planet. There are spiritual unions that are supposed to happen so that the love from that union can spread into the world and impact the people who need to see it, who need to witness it, so that it can trigger something within them. Not saying it needs to trigger the gay. It doesn't need to trigger the gay or anything like that, honey, because everybody's not gay. Everybody's not queer. We're all different. I just feel like we're all supposed to be benefiting from the various ways that love can show up as. We're here to contribute love to rise the vibration of the planet, especially after so much division, oppression has been created to target us. Love is complex. It comes in different shapes, sizes, fonts, and the lie that this form of self-love, my feminine expression, is wrong, I feel like it was created, like everything else, to create hate within us so that we will later take it out on the world, and that benefits those that desperately want to control and govern us for their own gain and profit. So, just kind of putting on my spiritual binoculars, if you will, and evaluating my life, evaluating why I'm here, evaluating the meaning of all of this that I'm speaking to you all about. I feel that I am here to embody, queer people, I feel that we are here to embody the feminine and masculine energies very strongly, to bring balance to this chaotic and ever-changing world. I feel like the way we are able to transform into our feminine and masculine energy so effortlessly, so comfortably, is so magical. Conformity is a weapon used to keep you isolated and unhappy. It's a weapon to keep you in line, to keep you in check. And some of my girls know what I'm talking about. If you get it, you get it. If you know, you know. If you're tapped in, you're tapped in, honey. The hard question that I want us to think about, the hard question that I wish somebody would have asked me when I was kind of going through my own distorted self-perception. What do you have to lose by being who you are, by exploring something that is different, by following your inner compass or following something that you genuinely feel like is for you? Like, seriously, let's think about this. What do you have to lose? Friends and family who only love and support you when it's within the confines of what's familiar and comfortable to them. But if you step outside of that, all of a sudden the relationship becomes unstable, it becomes shaky, and you start to realize that those people are a little two-faced, honey, a little fake. Many people are afraid to embrace their authentic nature because of how isolating it is, especially in a conforming society. We're supposed to play our designated roles, and if not, conditioning is so great that loved ones believe that it is okay, it is acceptable, it is just and of God to shun us, to abandon us, to pick on us, to bully us. But that's somehow doing the Lord's work. That's somehow spreading love. That's somehow doing something that is divine and of light. Honey, baby, make it make sense. And growing up, y'all, it has always been such a mindfuck for me. It's such a contradiction being the scapegoat when literally everyone around you is the same or similar. They're just putting on an act to hide it so they can be accepted by people they think they need. I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about relationships, and for me specifically, honey, it always has been crazy for me to be in school cool and just witness my interactions with other guys who are like me, or family who projects all of their unresolved wounds, but they end up being DL, and want you to stop reminding them of what they know they truly are deep down inside. It's just crazy to live in a world where you are picked on or ostracized or isolated because you are the only one that does not want to put on an act. You're the only one that doesn't want to hide the part of you that exists in so many people. The goal is to always keep humans governable so that we never question things, conforming to the day that we die, so that we end up passing it down to future generations and the cycle ends up repeating itself, allowing those that are in power to stay there. For so long, a lot of us have believed the lies about who we are based on a religion that was brutally colonized to fit, whose agenda, a certain agenda, baby. And that's all it comes down to, honey. Greed, money, power, control. Things are designed to a T specifically so that we do not remember our power, because if we do, systems collapse and they no longer have control over us. So a message to all men, queer or not, honestly. You are more than a piece of meat. You are more than your biology. Yes, it all coincides. Yes, there is a reason that this is your vessel, but you also have a soul that connects to energies deeper than your comprehension. Break free from the cage, honey, and explore that. Just because something is new, scary, and unfamiliar doesn't mean it can't serve you or won't serve you better than the things you've always done. We are grown. We are adults. Fuck those people and live your life. Explore yourself. Be curious. Try different things. And I hate that, oh my goodness, I hate that we cannot explore, because if you want to explore something, you're automatically labeled. People can explore things. People can try things simply because they have an interest or they may see it or whatever. If you want to try something, if you want to experiment, if you feel like, okay, maybe this is for me, and you realize it's not, that is okay, honey. That's what I don't like about the world. It does not give us room. This system, school, education, all this, it does not give us room to express ourselves. It doesn't give us room to try things out. It doesn't give us room to step outside the lines. And I'm just here to let somebody know, honey, it is nothing wrong with doing so. Explore your complex nature, and who knows, maybe you'll end up bringing heaven to earth. Well, that is going to officially wrap up episode 10 of the Cozy Convos podcast. My hot honey cake, my honey cakes. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and I honestly feel like there could be a part 2, so let me know down in the comments if this is something that you want me to kind of elaborate on a little bit more. If there's anything that I want you guys to take away from today's episode. Do not be afraid to question things you have always believed to be true. Do not be afraid to be curious and explore your nature. It is so complex. There are so many different parts of you that you will not be able to witness, you will not be able to discover if you stay in your comfort zone, if you stay in the confines of what you have always done. But okay, honey, I'm gonna head on out. I'm gonna stop rambling. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I hope you love. Of course, leave me down some comments. Leave me down some opinions. I would love to hear back from you. What is your opinion, your perspective on today's topic? And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next episode of the Cozy Convos podcast. Kisses, hugs, and many, many, many blessings. Mwah.